super awesome video game show that is totally serious, and we're paying attention and everything for reals.
Wait, what is the show again?
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Rage Select. I am Jeff, and I have with me
John.
Mr. John Seaton.
Yo!
And you know how we keep talking all the time about, like, we're going to have all these new things on the website? Well, guess what? You're watching one of them right now.
Wait, right now?
Right now.
Oh, I'm excited.
It's Dark Souls. That's the whole new feature of the website. It's just Dark Souls.
A little bit less excited.
Actually, as much as people would probably like that, it's not just Dark Souls. So this is a brand new show that we're going to do, John and I are going to do, where we're going to be a little bit more serious. We're going to do some tutorial stuff. Here, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and hit the new game thing. Oh, okay. So we're going to do this, and then there's going to play an intro, and we'll talk a little bit over the intro.
So serious.
Yes.
So hold on. Let me put on my serious face here.
Yeah, get your serious face going.
Yeah. Okay.
Game face.
Serious.
On.
Totally.
All right. So this is it's a long time ago. I created a tutorial for Dark Souls, and it is now lost to in the mists of time. So I figured, hey, why not do it again? What better way to kick off a brand new show than with a game that I've played about a bajillion times, and that's Dark Souls. So here we are. John, are you familiar with Dark Souls?
I've watched the Lore in a Minute video like 100 times.
Okay.
Should that prepare me?
No, not really at all. That's
okay.
not going to do very much for you.
Then we're screwed.
We're just going to call this guy Rage. Oh, God. I really hate the text input on
PS3. Yeah, no, I'm not a fan of it either.
Rage Man. Oh. Okay, so when you're creating a character in Dark Souls, there's a few things that matter. Most of this shit on this page does not matter. Doesn't really matter if you're male or female like it used to in Demon Souls. This is where you're going to want to start. This is kind of your big thing that's going to, like if you're brand new to the game, this is what you need to be paying attention to. Most of these classes, you can see on the left-hand side, have a level. And the more you want to customize a class, the lower you want your level to be. But when you first start out the game, you may agonize over the screen for a long time, but it's really not necessary. Most of these characters, like, you're going to find all of these armor sets around the game, so it's not really a big deal like what you start with. A lot of people will start with the Pyromancer because they start out with some magic. They're at level 1. They're very customizable. If you're playing the game for the first time, though, I usually recommend the Warrior because he's got good armor. He's got a long sword, which is a really good weapon for starting out, and he's real easy for new folks in the game to play.
Well, and plus, Warriors are typically the default class in most style RPG whatever games. They're typically the all-around class that it's good starting with.
The other thing to remember, of course, is that even if you start with a Warrior, you can still customize that Warrior to use magic and shit later on. Like, you're not locked in. All these things, some of them, I always pick the master key on the screen. Most of the stuff on here, like some of this stuff, like Twin Humanities or the Black Firebomb, those are consumable items that you can use one time. Master key really will open up a lot of doors in the game. And it's what I usually go with by default. I don't really care about any of this stuff. Just whatever.
There's some crazy faces in there.
Yeah, here, ponytail. Color of hair, whatever. Okay. All right, so let's get to that loading screen. So while the loading screen's going on, or while the intro is going on, which, by the way, this is one of my favorite game intros of all time. I've seen it like just a straight up billion times. And normally I'll let it run, but, you know, I figured this is a good time to introduce folks to what we want to do here.
Yeah, no, this would definitely be a good time.
John, tell the fine people at Rage Select a little bit about yourself.
So I surprisingly, like Jeff here, I'm a gamer. I play video games daily, if not more than that.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's a way to play it more than daily. But, I play a lot of video games, and I like, I do podcasts as well.
Mm-hmm.
And you were telling me one day that you wanted to do a show where it was just kind of like where it's two, guys who play games, who know the games they're playing, and, do playthroughs where it's not the standard dick and fart jokes that that you and Jeff are known for.
Me and Jeff? Jeff and I?
Yeah, Jason, sorry. I'm going to do that a lot, and I apologize.
That's fine.
I do that a lot.
Well, it's one of those things where I realize that, you know, and you know, this is in no way ever going to be replacing any of the other shows that are on the site. It's just there's some people out there that want us to be a little bit more familiar with the games before we start playing them.
Yeah.
And I don't have any problem with that. I love playing video games. I usually have to hold myself back from playing games before we do our dojo episodes. And this is a good way for us to be a little bit more, you know, like I don't want to have to worry about you know, talking the entire time.
Yeah,
like if something interesting is happening on the screen, I want to be able to shut up and just look at it instead of, you know, just yapping and yapping and yapping, which has its definite place.
Yes, you know, I agree. And then also, you know, I think we had talked about it, and we're also going to try to sometimes play games that are not the... Sometimes maybe play games that are a little bit off the beaten path of what would normally be played on these little playthroughs on here on RageSelect.com.
Yep. And also, I've been looking for a place now that we're starting to see more of it to do early access stuff.
Yeah.
You know, where it's not necessarily a review. It's just kind of looking at something before it comes out. So we'll probably be alternating between what I'd like to do is I'd like to do some early access stuff. I'd like to do some niche stuff that nobody's ever heard of. And then I'd like for folks to kind of maybe tell us if they're interested in this type of instructional video to throw out some games because... And I actually asked for that on our last podcast, and people made some suggestions. I was like somebody said Skyrim, and I was like, I can break you some other. I could show you how to become a god in Skyrim.
Yeah, Skyrim, you can break that easily. And
so, I mean, some games like, you know, some people have said you guys should do more tutorial videos. My only problem with that is just, you know, most games you could just pick up and start playing. Like, I would never want to do a tutorial for, like, say, Mass Effect 2 because who the fuck needs that? Like,
yeah, it's pretty standard stuff.
Pretty self-explanatory. But if it's something like this where people are... The reason I picked Dark Souls in the first place was that people were intimidated and wouldn't start playing the game because they were intimidated by the what is perceived as a huge difficulty level and that sort of stuff. And this game, you know, if you're not familiar with it, it'll kind of whoop your ass the first time you're playing it.
Kind of,
a little bit.
Kind of
depends on your tolerance for ass whooping.
All right, I'll give you that.
I mean, I don't get easily frustrated by video games, but I know that some people do.
Yeah,
people like Jason. So
this is true.
So first off, here you go. These loading screens, all this stuff on the loading screen, unlike most video games, is really important. A lot of times you'll get a lot of information on those loading screens, so it's very useful to read them when they come up. And they will. Yes, indeed. So here we are in the Undead, the Undead Asylum, and we got our dark sign. The dark sign brings you back to life when you die.
Yeah.
But eventually, when you keep dying and coming back to life over and over again, you'll end up turning into a crazy person. You'll end up going what they call hollow.
Oh, okay.
And that's kind of where we are right now, is we're in this asylum.
So that's what that guy is over there?
Yeah. And our character actually looks like that guy over there.
So we're crazy.
No, it's just they've got a policy in this land of locking up people who are cursed with the dark sign.
Okay.
So...
This is your fate.
All right. I think it's funny. Those rats are in this game. That is the smallest one you will ever fucking see. Most of the time, they're giant. They're way bigger than that. Oh, so emo. Man, what did I do last night? Hate it when that happens, John.
Yeah.
Somebody just starts throwing bodies down into your cell.
Guy's just kind of being a dick.
Yeah. All right.
So I guess we got to go steal whatever that is, because, you know, first rule when you go to prison is that someone's going to walk up to you and jack whatever you have.
Yep.
And if you don't have anything, well,
all right,
it's best not to go there.
So here's the key that we need to get the hell out of here. Now, it should be noted, we'll start off with this. Like, you see that our character, like the pretty character that we made, our character looks nothing like that.
Yeah.
And it's because our character is essentially dead. Well, not really dead, just
Undead?
Cursed with the dark side. Yeah. So you start out, you got yourself a little broken sword down there, doesn't do very much. And the first thing, if you're playing this game, is you should probably read all this shit on the floor, because this is the tutorial on the floor. I told Sparkle Fandango to do this, and they stopped doing it right when they got to messages that were really useful. So even though this sword is all broken up and crappy, it's still enough to kill this asshole because these guys don't fight back. Now, one of the things that that I told people when I did my thing for the first time is that one of the things about Dark Souls that you really would like to do is look around. Like, don't rush through the game as fast as possible, or you'll miss stuff. Like this guy over here.
It's kind of cool looking.
Yeah, he's just walking around. Now, you're probably not actually going to get this guy will.
Is that a room full of gold?
I think it's just dirt.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But this guy you will come back to this later on in the game. But it's real easy, like we saw in the beginning, to just walk down this hall and kill these guys and read your messages and never, ever see that ever.
Yeah.
So it's helpful to, spend some time. Like, if you're playing Dark Souls and you're trying to just run through the game as fast as possible, you're probably going to be missing out on a lot of stuff that is going to be useful and can sometimes save your life. So this is just telling you basically how the controls work. You can lock on to characters. And so the first thing that we need to do is get out of here. All right.
We're outside.
Yeah. Nice little courtyard
Hey,
here.
there's a sword.
This is a bonfire. And I will talk more about the bonfires when we have something to actually do with them. But for right now, we're just going to... For right now, all you really need to know is that a bonfire is essentially a save point. When you die, you go back to the last bonfire that you rested at. There's more to it than that, but for right now, that's all you really need. So we got one way to go here. I don't like how slow he's opening that door. But
Yeah.
So once again, looking around, you can't really... It's hard to see here, but if you look up in that ceiling up there, you can see...
There's a big dude.
Big old motherfucker up there. Now, it's easy to just run into this room, and then you're like, oh, my God, what's in here? It's a bunch of pots and stuff. Oh, fuck! Giant monster! Now, this giant monster is here to teach you something, and that thing is that you're going to die. And that a lot of times the game is going to present you with situations where, like, if I go up and try to hurt this guy with my little broken sword, you can see that I'm not really doing jack shit damage.
Like 2 damage to him.
So
8, and he killed you.
So I often worry that there's some people that played this game.
Yeah.
And they got stuck here because they were like, how am I supposed to beat this giant motherfucker? Where the game is trying to tell you you can't yet. Now you can if you're good enough at the game, or if you take some of those starting items, you can beat that guy. But this is, the first time you play the game, it's more about like just kind of showing you that there's going to be some shit, and you're not going to be able to deal with it the first time that you see it, and that's okay. Now you can see that down the bottom right-hand corner,
There's
I've got
a glowing
my
thing.
soul counter.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And every time you kill somebody, you get some souls. Well, when you die, you drop those souls, and that's that little pool with the blue stuff is there. I'm not going to actually mess with this for right now because I'm going to go ahead and get the fuck out
Run
of
away.
here. But the way that souls work is that when you die, you drop all the souls that you have on your person. And you get put back to the last bonfire you were at. You have to run back to where you died and pick your souls back up. Well, if you die a second time on the way back to your souls, then you drop the souls that you currently have, and the ones that were on the ground
disappear.
Are gone. Yeah. Going back to kind of that whole, like, the worst thing that you can do in Dark Souls is run forward as fast as you can. And there's going to be times when you're going to want to, but you never should. All right, let's get a shield here. Another thing to note is that just because you have the equipment screen open does not mean that the game is saved or is paused. You have to be in a safe spot. Now, if you're in a safe spot, you're generally good forever, but you can't just, I can't just do this and then walk away because the game is still moving.
Yeah.
All the time, constantly. All right, so we got ourselves a sword, we got ourselves a shield. This is a good moment to talk about the controls. On your right, R1 swings your sword. R2 jabs, that's a heavy attack. L1 holds up your shield, and L2 is a parry maneuver. You can also hit the triangle button to dual wield your sword, which is a much more powerful attack, but it leaves you open because you can't block. Now, the green bar up there below, the red bar is your health, and the green bar is stamina.
Okay.
And stamina is really important because when you block an attack, we'll get this guy to shoot at me, you can see that the stamina goes down, right? If you're out of stamina and you try to block an attack, then it'll hit your health. Or if you're trying to block an attack which is more than the entirety of the stamina that you have, then it'll go through your guard and hit you. Now, stamina is also used when you swing your sword. So when you swing your sword, it takes away stamina, and part of Dark Souls part of the gameplay in Dark Souls is managing that push and pull between using stamina for blocking, using stamina for rolling, using stamina for running, and using stamina to attack stuff.
It does seem like it fills up pretty quickly, though.
Well, the thing is that if you hold down the block button, like if you're just continually holding block, it doesn't refill as fast. So if I get hit and it goes down, it starts regenerating very slowly. But then if you let go of your block, leaving yourself more open, it regenerates faster. For the most part, classes that are like real heavy are going to need a lot more stamina.
All right.
Now, once again, back to the whole looking thing, we can see, if we look around here, oh shit, there's a dude in there. Easy to miss. Also, if you look down, you can see that this is where we came from.
Yeah, that's the bonfire from earlier.
Mm-hmm. There's the door that goes to the asylum demon. And this is important because the entire world of Dark Souls is very interconnected. So it's always, if you see something off in the distance, a lot of times you're going to end up there at some point. And so it's useful to kind of have an idea of how the world fits together. Now, we can't get to that guy
because you don't have
there.
like a map or anything in the game.
No, no. But you are going to become very familiar with all the different points of where things are in the game. And then this is also another really important thing. So if you go down these stairs, we've got a little switchback that goes back to our bonfire from before. Now, Dark Souls is filled with this kind of stuff, where you will find shortcuts that will go back to where you were, giving you a faster way to get between different areas of the game. Go up here and... Oh, fuck!
Nice dodge.
Yeah, I knew that was coming. So here we go. Got this guy. Now, all the story of Dark Souls is basically told through dialogue with other characters. So if you're interested in the story and the lore of the game, it's really important to talk to as many characters as humanly possible and to talk to them as much as possible.
Yeah, because like you said, I mean, the story is... what little I do know of Dark Souls is that what story there is comes from conversations with other people and also, like, trinkets you find and items or whatnot.
Item descriptions. You'll find stuff in the world where if you look at it and you kind of are piecing the puzzle of the story together, you can tell things about the world based on, statues and items and stuff like that are throughout the land. And the more you know, the more you will know because you'll be able to infer what's going on.
Here, take this.
So this guy, he's incredibly useful. He gives you the Estus Flask.
Undead favorite. Oh.
And a key.
I'm just going to keep giving you stuff.
Yeah.
Here you go.
And a sandwich. And some ribs.
Go now. And thank you.
All right, buddy. Thanks a lot.
Isn't he just going to die there or something?
Yeah, if you listen. Listen. Hear that?
Yeah, he just killed himself.
He just killed himself. Go back, we actually see. Oh, no. You were my best friend. He's actually the one that let you out of the cell. And if you go back, there's this guy online who does these lore videos.
Yeah.
That guy was actually, I don't know whether they originally intended it, but there was a time when he was going to kind of be like a guy who followed you through your adventures of the entire game.
Oh, nice.
Now, one thing I did mean to note before is that when you have a sword or when you have a melee attack in Dark Souls, see the way that it swings from right to left?
Yeah.
It's actually really important to know that because if you find yourself like up against a wall and you try to swing at somebody, you're going to whiff. On the other hand, if that person is facing you in this direction and they try to swing with the same sort of sword and they're right up against the wall, they're going to whiff as well. So you can actually use the environment to your advantage if you're really familiar with how the different the attack profiles of the different swords and shields and stuff in the game. All right, so going along here. This is the first time they throw more than one guy at a time at you. These guys, they're jerks. Treat them like jerks.
One-hit kills.
So there's a few different ways that you can handle attacking people. Like, we've seen, blocking and then attacking. That's your kind of standard.
Yeah.
Now, if you can get around behind another character, which this guy's being a jerk about it, I'll show you on the next guy. You can actually do a backstab, which is incredibly powerful and very useful, and it's worth getting used to. So if you can goad somebody into attack and get behind them, you can do an attack which does a lot more damage to them.
And looks cooler.
Now you can also, if you get used to parrying correctly when somebody attacks, you can parry and riposte, which this guy, he wants to heal himself. See, these guys operate by the same rules that you do. So if they want to heal themselves, they've got to drink a potion and put themselves into a compromised position. But if you can do that, if you can parry at the right time and then riposte, you can actually do a lot more damage.
Nice.
So, all right, and now it's time to go back and kill that big motherfucker that beat us up last time. And
Because you got a proper sword.
this is really important. R1 while falling plunging attack. This is also teaching you that if you see the white mist here,
Yeah.
a lot of times the white mist is going to signify that you're going from one part of a level to another part of the level, or that you're going into a boss encounter. You kind of want to be careful your first time through the game about whenever you're going through the white mist. All right, motherfucker. Ooh, look at all that.
Nice.
Showing you that if you use the environment to your advantage, that you can a lot of times do a lot more damage than you would be able to otherwise. So I'm going to get my souls back, even though there's like 20 of them. And try not to die here.
Dodge. Or
I don't know, like a lot of times just your simple movement and placement is preferable to wasting stamina dodging. Kind of depends on how you're playing, but...
Yeah, no, I get you.
Oh, shit. And like I said, I don't think I covered that, but you do have that roll that you see me doing. It just takes up more... It takes stamina to use, so... There's a real kind of push and pull to the gameplay of, like I said, using stamina wisely.
Ooh.
Yeah. This guy's real easy. There we go. First big motherfucker defeated. We got a big key. We should also get some humanity.
So what does humanity do?
That is a question that I wish that they had answered better when they originally made the game. So you've got two kinds of humanity. What I just picked up is hard humanity. It's an item that you use to gain humanity. Then you have soft humanity. Soft humanity is that number that's currently 00 in the upper left-hand corner. Just a brief aside here, once again, exploring the world will give you some interesting tangible results instead of just running through it. But humanity is used to turn you from hollow back into human. So it'll actually make me look like a person. And there are advantages to being human. Being human will let you summon other people into your game. We'll come back to you later. Being human gives you the amount of humanity you actually have stored up there gives you a better item drop rate, which is helpful. There are a lot of advantages to being human. You can also use humanity to do what they call, you can kindle bonfires, which means that instead of getting 5 Estus flasks from a bonfire, you get 10 Estus flasks from a bonfire. It's worth pointing out that this guy, Snuggly, is over here. You can use this. If you go up to this thing, you can drop items in here and then quit the game and load back into the game, and there'll be different items.
Okay.
I recommend highly looking online to find out what you can trade to that guy or thing or egg or whatever the fuck it is. But in the meantime, let's get the fuck out of here.
That was kind of creepy. It was a little ghost.
That's another player.
Oh, okay.
Seeing another player. You'll see those while you're playing the game. But yeah, humanity is very important, mostly for multiplayer. Also, another thing that humanity does is that when you are so we'll get into more about multiplayer, but when you're helping somebody in multiplayer, you don't have any of your healing items, but you can use humanity to get a moderate amount of healing. It also heals you when you ingest it, essentially, when you use it.
Of the ancient lords.
All right. Yeah, give me the.
That was a
fuck
giant
out
ass bird.
That bird is cool. He just hangs out in the Firelink shrine. You can totally see him where we're going now. So it's interesting if you look at this. A lot of this is places that you're going to end up going in the game,
Okay.
and not just scenery. Like a lot of what you're seeing here these are actual locations in the game. Like he puts you down in the Firelink shrine, and all that stuff that you saw isn't just like I said. It's actually in the game somewhere. So you're out of the Undead Asylum, which is good. What to do now? Well, first thing is you now have some new options at the bonfire.
Okay.
Where you can level up, you can reverse hollowing, which takes one humanity and turns you back into a person. You can kindle, which makes the bonfire more powerful and gives you more Estus flasks.
Okay.
Which you can see now down there at the bottom left, I've got 10 instead of 5.
Okay.
It's because the Firelink Shrine bonfire is more powerful than the other ones that you'll light over the course of the land. Now you also use souls that we had earlier to level up. Now this screen is way too complex when you first see it, but fortunately you can hit the select button and you can see you can get a description of what all these different things do. I'm not actually going to do any of them right now, but we use your souls to level up your stats, and every time you level them up, it costs more and more souls to go higher.
Yeah.
And you can see the result of that leveling up on the blue stuff to the right. You also use souls to buy stuff, which is what I'm going to use them for in a little while. So souls are like your currency in the game, which means that when you drop a whole bunch of them and you lose them, it really sucks. But when you first start the game, you'll probably have a propensity to try to save all the souls that you can save. But you find out about midway through the game that farming souls in a few areas in the game is actually way easier than, if I had, say, 20,000 souls right now, I know of a few places in the game where you can get that without any real serious problems.
Okay.
So a lot of times people will really lament losing a large amount of souls, but as you play through the game, you're going to find out that's not really super, super important. Motherfucker.
He got you.
Oh, you know what? I'm sorry. I skipped over something important. So,
Was it the dude sitting in the corner?
Yep. I hate that guy. But when you come here, you find your first little bit of... You talk to this guy, and he tells you what you're going to do in the world.
Guess. Fate of the undead, but there's no salvation here.
So this guy's... He's a real downer. He's a pessimist. See, he tells you there are 2 bells of awakening. One up and one down.
Ring them both.
You ring them both.
And something happened.
Yeah. Something happens.
Not much to go on. But I have
So this is kind of your first quest is to ring these 2 bells. Now, it's interesting. I went directly to the place where you're supposed to go, to the Undead Burg up there.
Yeah.
But the Firelink Shrine is actually a big place. You can go down here, and there's New Londo way down below. There's the Keeper of the Fire here, which we'll come back to later. There's also, if you go up here, you can explore. There's a bunch of stuff in the actual shrine up here through these different doors. And if you go over here to the left and you go down over there, you'll end up going to the graveyard. Don't go to the graveyard. You're not equipped to go to the graveyard, new person playing Dark Souls. The skeletons there are hard, and when you kill them, they just get right back up again, unless you have a holy weapon to kill them with. So, you go
Noted.
there. And let's see if we can get this guy to come after me. God damn it. When I did my original tutorial, I must have run this area like 20 or 30 times before I even started recording.
Yeah.
So I just like rip through this place like it's nobody's business. And that's something worth noting. I've actually said this a lot to people. It was a friend of mine who first said it to me, that if you are new to Dark Souls and you're watching somebody else play, it can look like super easy because, you know, those of us that have played this area a million times have it totally memorized. And then if you go through, you might just be like, what the fuck? This is so hard. But so if you end up dying a lot in this area, you know, it's just playing the game.
It's okay.
It's okay. You'll be served way better in Dark Souls if you get used to dying early. See, here's one of those giant rats. These guys drop humanity. They're one of the few things.
Straight out of Princess Bride.
ROUS.
Yeah, rats of unusual size.
Mm-hmm. So down this little corridor, we can see that there's this door, and it's totally locked. This is another one of those switchbacks that I was talking about, where you'll eventually come at that thing from the other side. But up here, now this is also useful. If you look at these messages on the ground, these messages are written by other players. And sometimes they're really good advice. Like, that's not really very good advice. But that's not really very good advice either. But you can leave messages for other people. And if those people there's an item that you could buy that will let you upvote, essentially, like you're Redditing their shit. If you do that while they're in the game, they get health back.
Oh, that's actually kind of cool.
Yeah. And it's actually like, but sometimes they will be telling you misinformation just to kind of fuck with you and troll you. So take that shit with a grain of salt, folks. Sometimes it's really useful information. Sometimes it can be a warning about what's happening, what's going to come up ahead. But sometimes it's just completely and totally wrong. So here's another example of all of these areas have like multiple, you know, different little tiers and ways to go about them. So if you spend a little time, you can get a lot of benefits from finding stuff that you would normally not get just by going down the normal beaten path. Oh, come on, you jerks.
So basically what you're saying is explore.
Yes.
And be prepared to die, but don't take that as a bad thing. Dying is a bad thing.
Right.
Those are the two key things I've taken from this so far.
Yes. Oh, wait, which way do you go here? Fuck.
Did you get lost?
This super good tutorial, Jeff. You totally got lost in the Undead burg. So the thing is that you're generally sprinting between bonfires, right? You've got one bonfire. It's fine. You got one bonfire, and you're trying to get to the next one, and you've got a limited number of healing options in between there, the Estus flasks, right? So what you're trying to do when you die is you're just trying to get better at this particular area until you can get through it using fewer and fewer healing items, which I'm doing a bad job of today. Got some rubbish. Got some trash. That was nice of them to put some trash there. So yeah, we're gonna go up to. I think we're gonna stop after the Taurus demon.
Okay.
This is gonna be a little bit longer than our normal thing.
Sometimes that may happen.
Sometimes it may happen. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't want to feel constrained. I don't feel like I have to stop, break the shit up right away. Hey, guy. What's up? Now, in comparison to like later enemies, these guys are attacking me super slow. Just like incredibly slow.
Yeah.
All right. Now, those souls are essentially items that you can use to cash in to get souls, which is nice because since they're in item form, you don't drop them when you die. So they're like...
Holy crap, that's a dragon.
Yep. Now,
and we did get a warning, said beware of dragon.
Mm-hmm. He doesn't really do anything but just, you know, he was just pogoing and then going up there.
All right.
But you will see him again. He's not gone forever. He's actually he's a Werven, right? Not a straight up dragon.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Eat it, Harvey. Oh, shit. What?
I think you're about to die, man.
Yeah!
You died.
You died. Get used to seeing that screen, folks. That was really stupid. I kind of just wandered in there a little bit prematurely. But
apparently.
I'm going to do... And this is a good opportunity. I can show you guys a few things. I can show you exactly what you shouldn't do when you die in the game. So one thing to note right now is, you know, you see the speed at which I'm running, right? And the speed at which I'm dodging. This is medium encumbrance, essentially. So if you look on the right there, you'll see equip load.
Yeah.
And if your equip load is, that's how much you have in your total available. If your equip load is less than half of that, so in this case less than 25, you do a medium speed roll. If your equip weight is less than, well, that should be right? Less than a quarter, then you do a much faster roll. It's a lot snappier. Your character moves and turns faster. I'm going to take off a little bit more here.
Well, and that actually makes sense because it's the less you have on you, the less you're wearing, the quicker you go.
It also takes less stamina to run, I believe. So when you die in this game, the last thing in the world that you should do is try to do a corpse run, and that's exactly what I'm going to do here. Mostly because I'm fairly familiar with this area, like I said before. And I know where these guys are and what they're doing. And a lot of times, sometimes, I don't think they'll follow me into here. You can figure if you look at certain enemies, like they've got certain places where they'll turn around and go and back up because they're not allowed to path past there. But if you know your areas, you can, just run right past these assholes. I don't recommend it at first because they will follow you, and you put yourself at a greater disadvantage when you take off all of your armor like I have. But it can be useful if you're trying to get back somewhere in a hurry. Now, this is a real pain in the ass place because I got this dickweed up here shooting arrows at me, so I'm going to take care of him before I do anything else. Yeah. Come at me, bro.
Stab him in the back.
Boom! Damn it. Now, actually, I don't know if we're going to get all the way to the Taurus Demon today, but
Okay.
this is going to be this is going to be at least 2 parts.
Yeah.
Because I want to show some advanced stuff in the second part. So here you can see I've got 272, right? If I was to die right now, it would drop 272 where I am, and this one would go away. But if you get back to here, boom, you can get back all the souls that you had before. Now, over here, we've got some assholes that we haven't seen before, and these guys are punks because they are actually defending themselves with their shields, unlike those other assholes who are not. And they actually bring up one more move. If you hit forward and attack... Nope. If you hit forward and attack... Nope. It's a little difficult to do if you're not right up next to somebody. You'll do a kick. And if you can do that kick, you will actually kick their shields and open up their... open them up for attack. Uck! You jerk. Come on, guys. I don't like these guys. They're a little bit more difficult to just kind of get at.
Especially when you got 2 of them coming at you.
Yeah.
And they got long spears and...
Yeah, they got a lot of range on you in the beginning. This is actually pretty disgraceful. I should have killed both these assholes by now. Now, this is actually an interesting thing, is you can see that if we continue to hit them, we will break their guard. And that same thing will happen to us if we just continue to block.
Yeah.
And you keep getting hit, is eventually when your stamina runs out, your guard's going to break, and then they're going to have the opportunity to just get right at you. Now, because I'm not wearing any armor, I might be able to get around behind this guy. All right, fuck you. Just do it the old-fashioned way. I love moving these guys' bodies around. Havoc physics is so messed up.
Yeah, it is.
It's better than when we used to have no physics, but it's still really stupid looking. All right, now in the vein once again of explore, explore, explore. Oh, look at that! There's totally
hidden area.
a little downstairs down here, and it actually leads somewhere incredibly useful. Come on, dude! I see you back there. Come on out. Now, as I said before, the longsword is... You can do a lot worse in this game than the standard default longsword. And the reason for that is because you've got the two-handed overhead attack, which you see since it goes in a diagonal. Yeah. It's easy to do in enclosed spaces. And when you're using it normally, your normal attack is a sideways attack, which doesn't take up a lot of stamina. But then your heavy attack is actually the straight jab, which gives you a way to cover distance to an enemy. But I'm going to go ahead and grab a few things from this guy over here. He's a merchant.
Well now, you seem to have your wits about you, hmm? Then you are a welcome customer. I trade for souls. Everything's
Okay, shut up, dude. All right. So some of this stuff, like orange soapstone, lets you write or
Okay.
rate a message.
Yeah. Makes
Lloyd's
sense.
Talisman's interesting because when you use that, it keeps the guys in the area from drinking from their own flasks.
Oh,
So it keeps
okay.
them from healing themselves. Fire bombs will come back to, and throwing knives and stuff like that. But what I'm really more interested in is a few things to the right. But it's also worth noting that the residence key, if you don't have the master key, this actually opens up a bunch of places, and it's very useful. So if you didn't pick the master key at the beginning, you probably want to spend the souls on the residence key. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab a rapier,
Nice.
a club, a bow, some arrows. Let's get about 20. It should be, well, get 50. 35. That'll work. And some armor. All right.
Thank you, Cal.
I would not recommend buying those things that I just bought. This is just to show you guys some stuff. So I'm going to put my armor back on here. And you can see on the right-hand side, when you're on the screen, you use the triangle button to switch.
Yeah.
When you put on new armor, it's going to reflect the damage that is reduced for strike, slash, and thrust, magic, flame, and lightning on the right-hand side, along with this is upping my equip load. Now, we're still under 50%, so this chain armor is better than the hard leather that we're wearing right now. You can also see when you do shields, one of the most important things in shields, if you hit the square button, is where it says damage reduction percent. If you have anything that's less than 100% physical damage reduction, it means that when people hit you, damage is going to come through regardless of whether you're blocking.
Yeah.
The rest of that is sometimes more important to have more magic or fire damage. But a lot of this, like I said, you can go through and you can read these. But for my money, this is the most important thing when you're first starting out in the game. Let's also go ahead and put on this bow, some arrows, and rapier. So you guys can see I bought this rapier mostly just to show you that the typical attack profile for the rapier is very different than the longsword. See how it goes forward
Yeah.
instead of swinging, and how there's much more of a thrust when you do the heavy attack. It goes a lot further in one direction. Now, this is interesting because if we go back and look at this weapon, you can see down here, you see where it says param bonus?
Yes.
So required parameters over here, this is how much strength, dexterity, intelligence, and faith you need to actually use the weapon. But on this side, what you're seeing is the bonuses that you get. So the higher, the second in the hand is your dexterity, and the higher your dexterity is, the better your rapier hits, the more damage you get off of it. Same is true, see, with the club of strength. So some weapons are going to be dependent on your faith or your intelligence or your dexterity or your strength, and it's always good when you're planning your character to get the right weapon for that. Like if I was making this a strength-based character, I would not want to use this rapier at all. I probably want to use something like this club, which, as we can see, once again, has a much slower attack that does more damage, and the heavy attack is actually a jump-in attack, but it takes a lot of stamina, so it's the sort of thing that you really don't want to miss on ever. Shield here. Okay, you know what? I think we're coming up on a bonfire here, so I think we're going to break here, and we're going to save the Taurus demon, or the... Is it Taurus demon? I think it's the Taurus demon for the second part.
Okay.
So before we leave, one last thing that you can see is when you rest at a bonfire, you get all your health back, and you get back the Estus flasks that you get from that bonfire. But also, all of the enemies that were dead are now all back. A lot of people don't like this. I honestly think that it's incredibly useful because it means that you can farm enemies. You can just go back to that thing and then kill these guys over and over again until you get the souls that you need for stuff. So, but it's worth noting that if you run back, like if you have, if you're running low on healing items and you run back to the last bonfire that you were at, it is going to bring back all the guys in between you and that bonfire.
Yeah.
So it's nice to try to push forward to wherever the next bonfire is. And with that, we're going to go ahead and take a break. So this is episode 1. Episode 2 is going to be coming a little bit later in the week.
Yes.
John, I'm sorry. I feel like I've been rambling.
No,
I've
it's
just been
okay. You
dispensing
know way
information
more
here.
about Demon Souls or Dark Souls, whichever one this is.
Yeah.
Than I do. Apparently, I can't even get the name of the game right. So, so it's perfectly okay. I'm just here in this video, in this episode. I'm here to be the guy who asks the questions that a new person would ask.
Next time, we're going to totally play a game that I know nothing about. I don't know where we're going to find that game, but we're totally going to. So, folks, check back later in the week, and we'll have part 2 where we're going to go ahead and get up to the first major boss of the Undead burg, and I'm also going to go over a little bit about magic and multiplayer, which is worth knowing. So, yeah, check on back, and let us know in the comments if you guys are into this. But by the time this goes up, I should have thought of a name for the show, which we probably should have done before we started.
Maybe just a little bit.
All right. Later, y'all.